Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? Girl in my class asked the professor if other countries have moons too. This is so innocently stupid and it's my favorite. Only if it was a teacher, not a professor. This is actually concerning. It was Lori Loughlin's kid. I had a guy at work tell me that Benjamin Franklin was the 100th president because he's on the $100 bill. She thought I was trying to trick her into believing that Adolf Hitler was real. But, like, were you? Oh hell yeah. I not only tried but also succeeded in the end. But I couldn't trick her into believing the Holocaust. She said there was no way. Done it. On the bright side, she probably votes now, so that's good. I know a guy who thinks the specialty he drinks negates the negative health effects of his pack-a-day smoking habit. What's this specialty? I think might have smoked one pack too many. Stupid ET. Amazing. This needs to be on store shelves next to smart water. I went to school with a girl that legitimately thought 9/11 was done by German Nazis. Pretty sure that was 9/11. I know a guy who vaped mercury on a dare. I remember proofreading a paper for a freshman my roommate had the hots for. It was on Jonathan Swift's A Modest Proposal, but somehow this freshman didn't catch that it was satire. The opening lines of the paper are burned into my memory. Eating children would not be a good thing to do. In fact, we could say it would be bad. Well, we could say that, but would it be true? Eating children is bad and wrong. In fact, there should be a new word for it, like badrung or badung. Yes, eating children is badung. I was working in a French company. We were working with a dev team in Vietnam on some IT project. The project manager they report to in HQ is French. They didn't like him and he knew it. The Vietnamese team did some great job. He wanted to find the correct words to congratulate them, hoping to smoothen the future relationship. He sent that incredible thank you email. When we see the quality of your work, we can only realize how sad it is that we lost you guys as a colony. The French expats in the Vietnam office told me they were hiding in shame for a full week. A girl in an AP US history class laughed at me when I was talking about driving to Alaska from Oregon. She insisted Alaska was an island because of how it is separated out on maps like this. I don't know if she was the dumbest person I met overall, but it was certainly the dumbest thing someone insisted they were right about. My sister-in-law is an anti-vaxxer and believes her kid's cerebral palsy was caused by vaccines despite the kid being born with 1/4 of her brain physically missing. That girl is lucky. She cold been born missing her whole brain like her mother. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. Well, yeah, protons, neutrons, and electrons. You can build a lot of wacky shit with that, though. Protons, neutrons, electrons, and morons apparently. A guy at a job site said this to me in all seriousness. I'm quoting, "If Hitler had put all the Jews on the Titanic he coulda saved himself a lot of trouble." I felt like I had a stroke. Also saved himself a lot of trouble is a scary mundane way to describe genocide. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kilograms, that it finally twigged that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. Bold move asking her how much she weighs. A friend that told me that drinking protein shakes means that my muscles are all fake and fat. A girl in my sophomore year of high school who thought there were 6 months in a year. She was really nice, but very surprised and confused when we tried to set her right. How did she get to high school without someone setting her straight? Well, you see, she got there in half the time. I live in southern Spain. I once met a girl from the US who was here on some kind of exchange program. When I asked her how did she like Spain so far, she said, "I'm loving it. I just don't know why the plane took so long to get here. I mean, we are just a bit below Mexico. I don't know why the flight was so long." Then I told her that we were in Europe, and she didn't believe me. Her reply was, "Europe? It can't be. Everyone speaks Spanish, so we must be somewhere near Mexico for sure." She was in uni. I still don't know how or why. He had just purchased a new, high-powered BB gun. We had just finished shooting it in the backyard when he points the barrel at my face and pulls the trigger several times. I tell him to stop being an idiot and he just laughs and says it's not loaded. Then the moron puts the barrel in his mouth and pop shoots a BB right through his tongue and into his uvula. Edit for those asking why it shot him, man. Not me. I was sitting down so the end of the barrel was at a downward angle. When Genius shot himself, the barrel was at an upward angle, causing the last BB to roll down to the back of the ammo tube and into the chamber. Oh, so it's a girl mouth. A girl in my art class in high school thought there was just a part of the cow called meat. When we explained meat is the muscles, she freaked out and became vegetarian. This dude I worked with for 3 days. He was hired to be a fabricator, which is mostly cutting metal and welding stuff up. He claimed to have welded for many years, which we very quickly realized was an embellishment. Within his first 2 days he got into a heated verbal argument with a co-worker that advised him to not smoke cigarettes in the shop right next to multiple tanks of incredibly flammable gases. Told our manager to fuck off and let him do his job. Manager was trying to tell him what to do. Started a decently large fire because he didn't clean the floor underneath where he was welding. And then started yelling at people trying to tell him there's a fire. Smoking blunts on the job, with no attempts to be discreet. By some miracle he managed to ruin a welder and 2 grinders beyond repair. And on top of all this he had this smug I'm better than everyone else attitude. He was promptly fired on the 3rd day and had the audacity to argue with management about it, before storming out and flooring it out of the parking lot, running down the shop's mailbox. Was working at a grocery store over a decade ago. I wouldn't call a kid dumb, because he just didn't know. It's more of a funny thing. He was new and the manager asked him to face the store when he asked what he could do. Facing means you make sure the aisles look nice and neat and that the product is pulled forward and visibly facing you as you walk down the aisle. The kid couldn't be found until someone told the manager. One of the workers was just standing in the parking lot facing the store. I will never forget that. A friend of mine still thinks cancer is made up by Big Pharma. One time my now ex-girlfriend was watching Maury Povich, one of those paternity test episodes with the classic "you are not the father" moment, and she turns to me and says, "If we ever have a baby and I found out I'm not the mother, I'll kill you." Thankfully we didn't end up reproducing. You just randomly bring home a baby. Congratulations dear, we've had a child. Don't worry, it's yours honey. My ex-sister-in-law is hands down the dumbest person I've ever encountered. There's literally a plethora of fucking insanely stupid things she said over the years, but I'll use the one that almost made me slap the taste out of her mouth. I had my first son back in 2001 and while I was pregnant she asked me if I was going to breastfeed. To which I replied that I was. She then asked, even if it's a girl, and I said of course. She then proceeded to tell me that it's perfectly fine to breastfeed boys but doing so with girls is creepy and could make the child a lesbian because they get the feel of a breast and will remember it and want that sexually. To say that I was stunned by her thought process is an understatement. I asked her what she thought people did before formula was invented and she said cow's milk, and before bottles were invented it was a rag soaked in cow's milk. Someone asked me if Japanese was a real language in high school. Twice. Nah, it was just made up by really dedicated weebs. I was working retail at the time, and this lady walks in and asks me to tell her when it is 10:15 AM. She needs to catch a bus. We were slow so I obliged. 10:15 AM rolls around and I tell her so she drops her stuff and runs out to get the bus. 5 minutes later she comes back, it's scowling. And she then lectures me on how to tell time. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. So why would you tell me a quarter after 10 is 10:15? It's 10:25 AM. Tell her that her bus is late today. It will be in at $3 to 11. A co-worker of mine sent an email to our company's global mailing list. Our company has 5,000 employees. The email contained a 1 GB attachment. It shut down the entire company for a day. Had a girl tell me she was scared to give her black boyfriend a blowjob because I don't know if his cum would be white or black. That was definitely the moment I knew. Please take moments like this to educate people. This Asian dude literally thought since I was black belts don't work for me and I was doomed to sag for my entire life. Like no Mr. Tran, I just left it at home. You see me wear one every fucking day. Like who TF is telling people that we are aliens or something. LOL. One of my neighbors in my dorm is black and this is a legit problem for him. too. He described it to me like this: I try to put on a belt and the melanin in my skin is like, excuse me, no the fuck you don't, and the belt just gets flung out of my hand. I can't do anything about it. It's really fucked up. He'll forever be a saggy boy. You have been visited by Money Pigeon. Like the video and subscribe within 5.6 seconds and you will get rich.
PG!
On top, food chain, won't stop, new game, hot box that blue haze, one lock, 2 chains, no bras, 2 babes, mic drop, new stage, lights in my rear view, 5 cops, food race, faster than a Tesla, they say I'm exhausted.